friends. So we're doing the walk to the BART station right now. It's actually a really beautiful day outside, so I think it's a good day to go exploring. We're going to start with somewhere that I'm actually pretty familiar with already, which is the Ferry Building at the Embarcadero in San Francisco. I thought I'd ease myself into this vlogging thing. Otherwise, I'm gonna get real freaked out real quick. So we'll start easy. All right, I will see you, I guess, when we get to the Embarcadero. Editor Nick here. Some of these early shots you're gonna see not a lot of voiceover for me. I was a little bit nervous when I started. I'm just getting the feel of things at this point, but here we've exited the Embarcadero station, BART station, and we're taking a right, making our way to the Ferry Building, which is really only a couple of blocks from this exit. So if you're making your way to the Ferry Building via BART, this would be the place to get off. As we keep walking here, up on our left, I think I just wanted to grab this Phil's coffee. It's a good coffee option if you want to grab something before you get to the Ferry Building. This wire statue is in the Embarcadero Plaza. It's named Our Evolution. It's by an artist named Marco Cochran. And the sculpture was actually debuted in Burning Man in 2015, and they currently have it in display in the plaza for the next few months or so. There are vendors most days. This was a random weekday when I was here, and they were all out. So really fun to browse. Usually they have things like jewelry, art, photography, just little trinkets. So a nice area to come walk around before you make your way to the Ferry Building. Now, I'm not going to pretend I knew much about the Ferry Building before today, but I did Google it. The building opened in 1898. For many years, its main purpose was as a transportation hub. So initially that was for trains and then ferries. Now, these days, there are still 2.5 million people that use the San Francisco Bay Ferry service yearly, but that number is not what it was in its heyday, and a lot of what draws people to the Ferry Building these days is the marketplace that's grown inside of it. That's what I know. So inside there's over 50 local merchants, shops, and restaurants. Personally, I like to come and grab a coffee, walk around the perimeter. It has amazing views of the San Francisco Bay and the Bay Bridge. Back in the day, you'd also find me here playing Pokemon Go. So typically, if you're facing the building, I will usually approach the Ferry Building by the right side. And on this side, there are lots of great places to kind of set up, sit down, relax if you've gotten some food or coffee. I don't know what I'm doing at this point in the video. Here we go. There's the entrance. This is the marketplace entrance of the Ferry Building. There's one on the opposite side. It's a very long walkway through the Ferry Building, which is nice. There's a ton to look at and do in there. But outside of the marketplace doors, if you come up these steps, is a kind of a large plaza-like area. Empty space in the middle, but lined with benches on both sides. Here's the view from the top of the stairs. Over to the right is kind of the back. Oh, okay, we slipped right past that. This voiceover stuff is fun. We are now taking a walk along this little backside here. As you can see, a ton more benches. You'll usually find a bunch of people sitting out here. I think it was a little lighter because I was coming here on a weekday morning, maybe a little bit before lunch, but definitely not as many tourists as I've seen on other days, especially on the weekend. It gets pretty packed. But to the left here of this walkway, I think I'm going to show it in a second, is one of the ferry terminals. So I believe there's 7 ferry terminals. If I got it wrong, I'll put the correct number on the screen. So here's one of the gates. Some zoom action for you. And there's one of the ferries. Then we will resume our journey here. Really, I was trying to walk to the end of this walkway. There's a nice kind of rounded railing that you can go to and get a really beautiful unobstructed view of the bridge. There's also a pier out this way. Actually, I don't know if it's what you would call it. It is a very long walkway that kind of juts out into the water. Okay, we've got another gate here. If we're going by letters, that's gate G, so that's 7 gates. So there's that really long walkway I was talking about. So that goes all the way out into the water. There's the Bay Bridge view. So you can imagine how good the view is at the end of that walkway. It's pretty great. And then we'll spin around here and give you a view of the skyline, San Francisco skyline. I think this is when I start talking to the camera, so, forgive me if I repeat some of the things I just told you. All right, see you later. Voiceover Nick out. I found a nice place here out overlooking that Bay Bridge. You can kind of make it out. There's a ton of places here to just kind of set up your camera and get a great shot of the city skyline or the water, the Bay Bridge. Yeah, it's a pretty chill place to just come walk around. Also, a ton of benches right outside of the ferry areas where the ferries pick up people. I don't know what you call those. But yeah, a lot of great places to just sit and eat. So we're actually venturing inside the building now. I actually go through here 2 times. This first time, I didn't do any talking as I walked, so you have voiceover Nick right now. Um, a little bit on the ferry building. It is 3 things, right? It's a terminal for ferries, it is a food hall, and it's also an office building. So there's 2 floors. We're just going to walk through the main hall. The second floor is what houses a bunch of office buildings. I think it'd be pretty fun to work here. In addition to what you can see in the main hall, they also have a year-round farmers market here, which takes place outside of the building, just right around the perimeter. Like I said, it's year-round, so it runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And on Saturday, it runs from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So definitely worth checking out, and certainly once you're done with the farmers market, it's great to wander inside the building and spend some time in there too. Now, I will link the website to the ferry building in the description below because that'll give you a great rundown of the marketplace. Within the main hall itself, there are over 50 shops. Typically, I do not escape a trip to the ferry building without hitting up Blue Bottle Coffee and Book Passage, which is a bookstore that's off to the side. They also have great empanadas. Now, before I left the building this time, I grabbed a coffee and then I went outside to go find some place private to sit. So I found a place to film. I needed somewhere away from people because my anxiety is just something else right now. But there's actually some benches right across from the ferry building itself. This is actually a really picturesque place to sit. I'll flip you around. See, there's the Bay Bridge, the water, and then right across from me, that's the ferry building, and then there's the San Francisco skyline. I don't know, I'd say these benches are pretty premium. Nobody is here with me. Blue Bottle is one of the places inside the ferry building that you can grab a coffee from. So I got the lavender yuzu flavor from Blue Bottle, which I never tried before. So look at us, we're adventuring away today. I'll give it a try. It's good. I'd say none of the Blue Bottle flavors to me really like pack a punch or anything. I think they're kind of just more subtle coffee flavors, and usually they don't go overboard on the sweetness. So yeah, if you're into something that's not overly sweet, I think Blue Bottle is a good option. Not cheap. I think this was 12 ounces and it cost me $8.50, and then I tipped, so it was like a $9.50 cup of coffee. Still, you're here. Maybe you're just taking a chill day to go walk around the water. Maybe you're here on vacation, so sometimes that kind of justifies a $9.50 cup of coffee. Yeah. So maybe we can check in on the filming. So I always see travel vloggers kind of going around and just poking their heads into shops, taking pictures inside of stores, talking their way through crowded spaces. It's challenging, or at least for me it is. I have this camera which I bought the sleekest thing I could find so that it almost feels to me like I'm not even carrying something that's, too intrusive. But still, I'm walking through this building and I don't even want to like angle the camera into the stores. There's lots of great stores in the marketplace. I just don't want to go in there and film them. Part of this, right, is that we're doing this and we're desensitizing ourselves to filming in these spaces and also just being seen, because that's tough enough for me. So I got some outdoor shots, and that's a big part of why we come to the ferry building, is for the views. But the other stuff is the food inside. So maybe I'll voice over as we walk through the building timidly, or who knows. But, first step, we got the outside. So I'm walking by the front of the ferry building now. Sometimes, certain parts of the week, you'll come by and there'll be vendors set up along the sides of this walkway here. You can kind of see some of them coming up on my left. I didn't see this Signal coffee vendor when I first was walking over here. Otherwise, maybe I would have tried them out instead of doing Blue Bottle, which I've had countless times. Looks like Roli Roti is closing up here. They're one of my favorites, actually. If you ever have a chance to try Roli Roti out, I would recommend it. Okay, so you've explored the ferry building a little bit, and now you're wondering what to do next. Maybe we should walk off the food we just ate. Um, I think you can go two directions here. One is just a very short walk up to this nice little area, which I'm going to show you right now. Maybe if I go and research what this area is called, I'll put a voiceover here as well. Voiceover Nick here. So I said I'd give you two options, and I only gave you one. So the other option would be to go the other direction and walk to Pier 39 and Fisherman's Wharf. And second thing is we are walking toward Rincon Park, is what it's called. So really beautiful grassy area. I think it's worth checking out. So okay, bye. Okay, so we can check in here. How's the adventure going? I'm doing better after that coffee. I was so hot. I don't know why. Maybe it was a combination of just anxiety and also wearing a big, heavy sweater when it's actually nice and warm out today. But you never know in San Francisco. You know, there's pockets of sun, and then all of a sudden, you're back in the fog. So yeah, this is just a kind of a beautiful park area to wander down to after you've hit up the ferry building, and also just a good place to get some pictures. Let me flip you around. So you can get the whole span of the Bay Bridge in one shot. I think it's worth the quarter-mile walk, if that. And then here's the view of the park. A lot of people take their dogs out here too. Am I selling it? All right, let's head back to the ferry building. Did I mention it's windy here yet? It's windy. But despite that, if it's a sunny day like this, it can still get pretty warm. So I don't know. I suggest bringing a light jacket, maybe not a black sweater, heavy sweater, maybe not that, but you know, something light, maybe a bag that you can throw it into if you don't need it. That way you're not walking around here sweating yourself to death. I think I'm starting to have fun doing this. I'm finding that if I find areas maybe that are a little less heavy on the people traffic, I'm pretty good here. We still got to work on that indoors filming though. So what are we gonna do for lunch? Oh, I'm scared. Do I film it? Maybe I have to get something where I can, you know, walk away and sit and chat with you some more. That sounds the smartest way to do it. We're venturing back inside. Yeah. Okay, there's a few places in here to eat. There's this pizza bar place, which I've never really tried. I think that'll be for another day. There's a few sandwich options. And, pardon. We'll learn how to walk and talk too. It's all learning. Okay. Empty wall. We'll collect ourselves here. This is I don't know, what is this? A baking goods store, Mariposa. Chocolates. Is this picking up my heavy breathing too? That would be embarrassing. There's a wine bar here that I've been to once. I really enjoyed it. It's very tempting to do right now, but we're on a mission to get something to eat, and the wine would probably interfere with that. Empanadas. I think we might do this. This sounds good. And easy to eat outside. See you when I got the food. Okay, the first time I came in here, I don't know. I think it was maybe like triple the people. So maybe this is the secret. I have to come on off hours. Okay, so I was just walking through the building some more, talking up a storm, and then realized that I was not filming. But I was saying, I think I've discovered the secret to successful filming for me, and that is going to a place when it is not quite as busy. And I can find little pockets and places to just, sit away from all the chaos. And I was a little bit braver on peeking into the storefronts there and at least aiming the camera at the stores. And I'm sorry I'm sniffling. It's something about the windiness out here. But I'm sure that's a great ASMR experience for everybody. Okay, I'm hoping to go back to the bench, my safety bench, where I had my coffee. We shall see if we can find one that is not occupied and away from other people. I see one. We're gonna try. It's all the way down at the far end here. It's empty. Actually, there's a couple more down this way, which would have maybe a different view of the ferry building that we didn't get earlier. So that sounds like something that somebody that films content would do. Try to get a different angle. Is this exciting for you guys? Or is this terrible? You could tell me. Comment below. Okay, we made it to a bench that is a different bench, but in the same area where there's very little foot traffic and people, so I feel safe. Okay, let me flip you around. There's the ferry building. I think that's one of the ferries. Yeah, it says Golden Gate Ferry on it. Let me zoom you in. Okay, couldn't zoom you in very far. I think that's an adventure for another day too. We'll go on a ferry together, because I've never done that. Sounds exciting. Okay, let's eat. So how are we gonna, oh my God. Okay, 2x, there we go. The sniffles, I'm sorry. Okay, give me a second, I'll be back. Okay, I'm really tired of having you up my nose. I don't think anybody really enjoys that angle, but I don't know how else to, I gotta be very cautious here with how I angle you to avoid that. Anyways, so I got an empanada. I asked the lady what she recommended. This lady recommended the asparagus empanada. So I grabbed it, let's try it. I should have taken a smaller bite. It's really good. Okay. Dry, not in a bad way. Just, I could have used a drink. But anyway, so yeah, it's like asparagus, Gouda, chili flakes. Can't remember what else. I took a picture though, so maybe I'll put it on the screen here. It's really good. I think this was a good choice. I was gonna go for something really basic, but she recommended the special of the day, which was this one. We'll learn to eat better on camera. So yeah, I get the chili flakes, I get the cheese. The asparagus is kind of just like a nice added texture in there. Yeah, I would get it again. Okay, let's do one more go around the Ferry Building. We're heading back. I'm getting hot. I repeat, light jacket, ideal. One that you can remove. Okay, now I don't know if I even walked around the back with the camera on yet, so we're gonna do it again just in case I didn't. The back side of the Ferry Building is really cool. There's a couple entrances into the building itself back here, and you get great views of the water. There are a few restaurants back here. One is like an oyster bar. This is Senior Sisig. This right here is Hog Island Oyster Bar. I have not grown to appreciate oysters yet in my lifetime, but this place is always packed. And then I'll give you the view of the water here. Yeah, definitely worth stepping out back of the Ferry Building. And if you're like me and you see a bookstore, you're gonna have to stop, right? This is Book Passage. They've been here for as long as I can remember. Here's one of the entrances from the back. A couple more restaurants back here. And some nice seating areas. This building on the corner here used to be a Pete's, which was like another cheaper coffee option, but I guess they moved along. There's like a marketplace here. It's got a lot of cool stuff. You know, ferry building prices, but it's fun to browse around there. Will I do it now? No. I'm scared, remember? Okay, let's exit. Feel good so far. I don't know if I'm gonna win any awards for cinematography, but you know. So I think next time we meet up, we can start at the Ferry Building and then walk all the way down the Embarcadero to Pier 39 and Fisherman's Wharf. This was a bit of a practice run. I'm glad I did it. And I think I'm ready to do it again sometime.